Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We rented movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained as pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the feedback bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast.
But the most important of all, you must promise never, ever to let this password we be about to give to be used against any sheep anywhere.
I promise you that. I'll make sure the pig knows it too.
We have the promise.
Tis for Babe! Tis for his sake!
Ma would have wanted it.
Baram you. Baram you. To your breed, your fleece, your clan be true. Sheep be true. Baram you.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Tennis Podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about movies that shaped their childhood. I'm Sweetie.
And I'm Sweetie.
And continuing on our month of random selections.
Yeah.
So if you remember, or maybe you didn't even see our amazing Instagram story where we picked out of a hat. We did, what movie we did last time? Shit.
Good one. Fucking
Jumanji. Okay, we did Jumanji this week. Our second choice was Babe. So, funny story. We were supposed to do this for Sweetie's birthday. However, oops, brain fart, forgot the computer, and we couldn't do it. So we watched Aliens instead, which was pretty awesome. Alien, the first one, which was great. But we're not going to talk about that on this podcast because Babe is where it's at.
And I've suggested Babe several times as a movie to do, and Sweetie's always poo-pooed it. And at the end of this, when we finish watching it, tell the folks at home what you said, Sweetie.
Guys, this movie is so good. This is like the best movie ever.
That is not what you said. Okay, yes, that's what you said. But you're like,
best movie ever. It's so good. Oh my God, it's so good on so many levels. Ready? Here's the levels, okay? Number one, it's like kind of short, which is like, it's a perfect length, let's say.
Yes.
It's not too short. It's not too long. It is like the perfect length for a movie. It's fucking amazing. Number two, it is the greatest work of animals and animatronics. Is that what you call that? Where it's like puppets. I've ever seen in my whole life. Seamless. Mm-hmm. You cannot tell where there's puppets or where there is real animals. It's fucking unbelievable.
Don't know.
What else?
Fucking cute as hell.
Cute as fucking hell. Oh my God. But then there's like moments of kind of scary moments. There's super sad moments.
Yeah.
There's moments of like extreme happiness.
Through all the emotions.
Oh my
and
God.
you come out on the other side. I mean, that's why I watch this movie every day. So like, quick story. We had this on VHS, clamshell, whatever, the puffy case.
Clamshell, good call.
And
I remember that.
I would literally watch this every day, you guys, when I was little. Like, I would watch it. We had a VCR in the basement,
you could do it,
and I
with
watched
this
it.
movie. You could do it.
I just loved it. I knew every line back and forth. Like, I had my favorite parts. Like, I was all for it. So yeah.
So what was it? So when was the last time you think you saw this movie?
Oh boy, I don't know, 5 years ago. I think I saw it again.
So what were like the feelings that washed over you just watching it now?
Just that like coziness that you feel when you watch something that you've seen several times. Like, it just makes you feel at ease. Like, I always just felt so at peace when I would watch this. And same thing today. I was just like, I can't wait to watch Babe. It's so sweet and nice. I love it.
Yeah, it's just everything down to like the scenery and how the little farm is depicted and the sweet animals and how every animal has like great little characterizations to it. You know, and there's like a happy dark element to it, which I really liked, which kind of reminded me, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, a bit of like Roald Dahl books in the sense that there's like dark moments in Roald Dahl books, but there's a very cozy kind of comforting feeling to them.
It doesn't stay dark. I think that's the key to Roald Dahl.
Right.
Probably.
like it always ends in like a pretty like uplifting kind of message to the story.
Sure, yeah.
And then obviously with this one, like, and we'll talk about this later, like great messages in this, right?
Yes, don't be mean to people.
Yeah, that just extend to like sort of everyday life and about no prejudice and not being mean and kind of going against the odds, right? Like you don't have to be stuck in your little. If we're talking about animals here, you know, only supposed to doing what you're supposed to do as an animal,
Right.
But you can do greater things than that. You can be Babe.
Yes.
You put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Yes. Thank you, George McFly.
Yeah.
Or Marty McFly. Wait, who said it originally? Marty.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good. But yes. So Babe, the gallant pig. Is that the full title?
I think so.
Yeah. Babe the Gallant Pig. FYI, don't Google the word babe because you will find one picture of a pig and then 20 million of women in bikinis. So that's a downer.
Ruined.
Real downer. Made in 1995. Good year. You know,
It was.
yeah. I was 12.
Very good year.
Sweetie was
Jumanji?
9.
95 also, right?
Oh, shit.
Whoa.
Wow, that's crazy. Featuring a cast of, I would say, not like super well-known people. Farmer Hoggett is an actor named James Cromwell who has been in a lot of movies. Like, if you look at his like resume of movies, there's a ton.
He was in 6 Feet Under. Also.
Yes. He's fabulous. A man of few words. Taciturn, if you will. What was the fact that we learned today?
He only speaks how many?
171.
171 words throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Impressive.
So he accepted the script and was like, I feel like this will be a pretty easy movie. Don't only have a couple lines. Like, awesome. But he's in basically every scene and has to do a lot of silent acting, which really is much harder than, you know, acting with your words and your voice. So amazing turn for a role for that guy. Love him to fucking pieces.
It's going to be Farmer Hoggett the rest of his life,
to be my BFF. Fun fact about him, lifelong vegetarian, became a vegan after this movie.
As
so
you would, yeah.
He went whole hog. Get it? Very cool. Anyone else? A couple good voice actors. Ones that are now known for other things that came after this film. So at the time, they hadn't actually done those bigger roles, right? The ones that we found out.
Well, I think, I mean, just the main one is, two probably are the voice of Babe, which her name is
Christine Cavanaugh.
Right, who's the voice of Chucky and Rugrats, who we found out died in 2014.
R.I.P. Christine.
Sad.
She was great. Oh, God, great voice.
And then Hugo Weaving is the voice of Rex, so the mean asshole dog is him.
And Hugo Weaving, if you don't know, is the main elf in Lord of the Rings. What's his name?
And Mr. Smith in The Matrix.
Yep. And
Elrond in Lord of the Rings.
Yes, Elrond.
Yeah, Fly is not voiced by Sally Field, as I thought as a child. Oops. And
Are you thinking of, because Sally Fields does in Homeward Bound, the cat?
Yeah. Okay. She just sounded like her. I don't know. I just thought that it sounded like her. So I don't know. I mean, a lot of things are just, I didn't know. I just watched the movie. I didn't care who was in it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, those are the main ones.
And then, wait, was that... Oh, you said who the Fly actually is, though?
No.
Oh.
But I don't know her name.
Well, you can say the who other
Who
thing.
Who she is... Wait, are you sure? She's Fly? Not Mrs. Hoggett? She looks kind of like Mrs. Hoggett.
No.
Okay. Fly is voiced by the woman who plays Professor Sprout in Harry Potter. So crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah.
No clue.
And we found out that the actress who plays Mrs. Hoggett, when this was made in 1995, she was actually in her early 30s, and they aged her about 20 years.
I'm glad they aged her.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
If
if she was just look like that, and she
Well,
was
if
early
you were
30s.
like, because they had her have gray hair, they really dressed her quite dowdy.
Yes.
And it's amazing how women can look 50 years old like that.
Croisette.
But like, we're 30, and like, what would it take for us to look 50 if we had completely gray hair? Maybe.
It wouldn't be that hard. Let's be honest.
I don't know. I think certain women can pull off a little bit more older looking women than others. She's like a you know, sweet little chubby farmer looking lady though.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
It's not like it was like Charlize Theron and you're like, let's make you look 50.
As Monster? Oh. In the movie Monster? Scary.
She has had her ugly change.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so amazing movie. Never felt so great in my whole life. I laughed. I cried. I might become a vegetarian.
God, no.
Just kidding. I love bacon.
I know. It's too good. I mean, it's just it's just whatever. You save that one pig that can do good things, but just like, eat the other ones, whatever. It's fine.
Good workaround.
That's the message,
sweetie. But let's synop the shot out of this. Okay. It's time for the sweetie synopsis. Yes, it is. Baramu.
Babe. Farmer Hoggett and his wife, Esme Hoggett, are...
That name, Esme, by the way. Seems like very...
It's actually the name that Jamie Lee Curtis's character wanted to name the baby in My Girl 2, and Dan Aykroyd was like, Esme. Sounds like a sneeze. When you sneeze, Esme. A noise your nose makes.
Good memory.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so Farmer Hoggett is a farmer in a country
don't say.
of unknown origin.
Yeah. What is up with that?
They are at a fair, typical country fair. You get your ribbons for your jams, your blue ribbons for like your biggest pig or whatever, like whatever those
Petting zoo?
things.
What about a petting zoo?
It's probably a petting zoo.
Teacups?
Maybe, yeah.
Ferris wheel?
Okay, yes, there's those things. Farmer Hoggett is walking around and this guy's like, hey, Arthur, like, come guess the weight of this pig. And he's like, got no need for pigs. That's not what he sounds like, but like, that's just what I want him to sound like.
You just go with that.
But he takes a guess anyways, and they're like, all right, we'll call you if you win. So this little babe is the pig in the box, and in the beginning, you see
it's a pig in a box.
In the beginning, you see him with his mom and all his brothers and sisters, but he's so sad when his mom gets taken away to be slaughtered that he's like crying. So the guys come to get him for the fair, and they're like, oh, look, here's one. So they pick him. So he gets saved does not get slaughtered as a pig. So yay. So Farmer Hoggett ends up winning the contest. So he gets the pig. So he thinks he's just going to take the pig home, and his wife's very excited because she wants to eat the pig someday because she loves all the things that pigs have. Who doesn't? So really its main purpose there is to be a pig that they will fatten up and then one day eat. So Babe is on the farm. He meets all the other animals. There's Fly, a sheepdog, and all of her pups. Her asshole husband Rex, who's very abusive and an asshole. We'll get into the specifics at a later point. There's, cows, a horse. There's like a really wily duck named Ferdinand who's like pretty crazy, thinks he's a rooster, no big deal. Yeah. So Babe's like, this is fun. But he immediately kind of gravitates towards the dogs and latches on to Fly because she kind of stands in as like his surrogate mom, basically.
Yeah. And what do we learn about Babe, like, initially is that he's very new to the world, so he has a lot of, let's say, naive to what's going on in sort of the farm world, let's say. But also a pig with no prejudice, in that sense, doesn't know what roles anyone has, what they should be doing or should not, trusts everybody, is very sweet and kind-hearted, not a mean bone in that pig body.
Nope, not at all. So they're just going about their days. Babe meets a sheep by the name of Ma, who's like a really old sheep. And she takes a liking to him because he's very kind to her. And she tells him that the dogs are very mean to the sheep. And they call them wolves. And they're just like, wolves aren't mean to us sheep. They bite us and aren't mean. And Babe's like, I don't believe it. Like, Fly is so sweet to me, blah, blah, blah. But
there's a real hierarchy on this.
Right.
Farm.
So, yeah, the sheep are dumb. The dogs are, like, smart. And, like, the rulers, that kind of thing. So, let's see. What happens? I'm trying to going through in my head.
Yeah. So, first, he gets in trouble because he tries to
steal the alarm clock.
So, Ferdinand is the duck. Doesn't want to be a duck. So, again, another person who's like, fuck my role on this farm. I'm a duck. I don't want to be a duck. I want to be a rooster. Like, rooster is where it's at. So he tries to crow like a rooster every morning, and they won't let him. So, no, he does it, but like they get mad at him or something like
that. They get an alarm clock.
Yeah, instead. So they get an alarm clock instead. They're like, screw the rooster, and he's like, I'm gonna steal the alarm clock. So he gets Babe involved because, like we said, Babe trusts everybody. They break in, but there's this evil cat named Duchess. So it's the Farmer Hoggett's wife's cat. And then they end up kind of causing a ruckus and spill all this paint and everything. And it's just like a mess.
Yes, it gets in trouble. Yeah. Rex is pissed. He like holds a conference with the animals, meeting in the barn. And he's like, Pig, like, you must know your place. You're never to fraternize with the duck again. And then that's that. Next is Christmas? Yeah, is Christmas. And they are planning to eat Babe for Christmas dinner, but he's still kind of teeny. And the Farmer Hoggett's wife like measures him, and she's like, okay, well, it's fine, whatever. I still want to eat him. And then Farmer Hoggett's kind of like, shame though to like kill the pig when he's gonna be first prize in the pig contest like next year at the fair. And she's like, because his wife is all about them prizes. Yep. She makes her jams. She's like, yeah, she's got like a huge
trophy case
shelf. Yeah. She's like, okay, yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm. So then you see Farmer Hoggett like going to the slaughterhouse, and he like walks by Babe, and you're like, oh my god, don't do it. And then you hear like a chicken of some sort, or like some kind of bird like cry out, and then like like a knife going down, so like someone got killed. So we find out it's one of the ducks, not Ferdinand, but his friend Rosanna. And that's sad and everything, but we're like, phew, good, they didn't eat Babe.
Right.
So then the gate is open, and Babe's like, oh no, he lets Ferdinand fly away because Ferdinand's like, I want to see the world, let me loose, kid. And he like flies him out of the gate, and then the gate's open. So he was like, I'm gonna go to the sheep field because I'm not allowed to go there, and I want to see what it's all about. So he goes, and he finds out that some hooligans are fucking stealing all the sheep
on Christmas Day too.
So fucking rude. So he like freaks out, runs back to the house, alerts Fly, who alerts the boss, Farmer Hoggett, and he like goes out there. They go and they kind of scare off the robbers and the dogs, and Farmer Hoggett's like, I think that pig alerted the dogs to a problem. Like, that's interesting. So he's interested. Mm-hmm. So the next day, he lets Babe come out to the field with the dogs to like participate, because he has a feeling that like something's up with that pig. Mm-hmm. Earlier he had seen him like separating the chickens like white and brown, and he was like memorized by that. So he has a feeling. He's got a feeling. So he takes Babe out there, and then what happens?
So Babe, unlike the sheepdogs who use, talk down to the sheep, are very violent with them, snip at them, chase them around, yell at them all the time. Since Babe is friends with them, because he's friends with the eldest sheep, Ma, talks to them like a normal conversation and is very polite, calls them ladies. Will you do this? Will you do that? Thank you, please, thank you. And the sheep then in turn will do whatever he wants.
They're like, oh, you asked nicely, sure, yeah, I'll fucking do it, sure. Yeah. So he, too much to everyone's surprise and shock, he just calmly and coolly gets the sheep to walk in like two lines. What is that called?
Formation?
No, like two sheep wide lines. I don't know. Side by side. Sheep side by side. Walk calmly through the gate and where they need to be. It's just so calm. There's no noise. It's just quiet. And Farmer Hoggett's like, oh my God. So he's like super excited about it. But you know who's not excited about it? Fucking Rex. Who's jealous because he's supposed to be like the alpha dog, like does all the cool stuff, is like the sheep herder, and he doesn't want this pig like out of his place and thinking he's a dog. He's not into it. So he gets in a fight with Fly and then bites her, and then bites Farmer Hoggett's hand, and then Farmer Hoggett's like, whoa, we need to fix this. So he gets the vet, and the vet's like, we gotta neuter him, snip snip. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. Let's do this other thing, which is basically the same thing.
Right. So we're not totally clear what it is, but we're pretty sure it's chemical castration. So essentially like a shot that makes him sterile, which would, but didn't we just read though that it didn't it didn't mean testosterone would go away?
Right. That's why I still don't think it was. Yeah. I think he just sedated him. He said I could sedate him, but that'll take him out of like sheep herding stuff.
But But why would
So
that
he's just
cure
like
the
sleepy
problem?
because he'd just be like sleepy all the time
You
and
can't
like.
all the time sedate somebody.
Well, that's what I'm confused about because it's like, well, you have to like give him an injection every time, or like what? So we don't know.
I think they did end up neutering him, and that would have been a real blow because then you can't, breed anymore. And he was getting like income
and I
from
don't
the
think he would have been
sheepdogs,
like
but-
as tough as a sheep herder if he had his balls cut off. I guess
Exactly.
That's why
so,
Farmer Hoggett didn't
so
want
who
him
knows?
to.
But anyway, Rex is out of commission. And really, Rex should have been out of commission anyway because you learn that he actually suffered, suffers from hearing loss. So he's almost deaf. So he's really not like up for the job anymore. And that's tough for him to handle. I mean, we'll talk about it later, but like in toxic masculinity, patriarchy stuff right there.
Again.
Like, dude, take a step back.
Yeah.
So now they don't have sheepdogs. Well, there's Fly, but she's now injured because
Of the
Ralph
fight.
beat Ralph. Rex. Who is Ralph? Should be Ralph. Rex, like, quote unquote, beat the shit out of her in dog terms. Well, not dog terms, in people terms. And Farmer Hoggett has this brilliant idea to now enter. Oh, we missed one crucial scene. Where so life goes on. Rex,
but that is still he wants to do. Like he's like, I'm going to use
Okay,
Babe
so he is
as
gonna-
the sheep herding
and the sheep herding contest
thing, and
Yeah.
then put him in the
Yes.
contest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen. They start practicing. Stuff is going really well. Very positive. One morning, there's another like sort of ruckus, and Babe hears it again. So he runs to the sheep field. Everything happens in the sheep field, man. So much drama.
So much drama.
So runs to the sheep field, and this time, wild dogs. What is a wild dog? Because they like look like real dogs.
That third little one
Yeah,
looked
look
like
a real dog,
somebody's
pet.
dog. Yeah.
But they're like awful. So they're chasing the sheep around, biting them. Unfortunately, Ma, Babe's friend, gets like on her back and can't get up, and that is like a position for a sheep not good because you can get attacked, right? You can't run away, and the dog ends up biting her all in the neck and is like trying to take a bite, eat her a little bit. But Babe gets like insanely mad, and he's so sweet and nice, but he just has this intense anger at him because
They're hurting his friend.
yeah, they're hurting his friends. And Ma had told them about what they called wolves, right? So they called the dogs wolves because they look, dogs very wolfish, even
Same
though they're
family.
domesticated. And they had always told Babe this, and Babe didn't believe them because he was friends with the dogs, so he didn't get that whole thing. But then he sees what are these nasty dogs and gets so angry and is able to protect the sheep by just like ramming the dogs. So it's great. So he scares off the dogs by himself, goes to comfort Ma, who is, mortally wounded, and gets blood all over his snout. So when Farmer Hoggett comes upon them, he sees a dead sheep, and Babe with his nose covered in blood. He puts two and two together, idiot.
Erroneously.
Erroneously, exactly. And decides that Babe was the one who tried to eat the sheep. Like what the fuck?
Do you know him at all? Hello. Idiot. Sweetest pig on the block. Get out of here with that, Farmer Hoggett. Come on.
He doesn't even have teeth.
He does. They're like little, though. And they're like, nah.
You would not be able to bite a sheep's neck to the wound that Ma had.
It's ridiculous. So Farmer Hoggett takes him home and then brings him to the slaughter shed, and then with his giant shotgun, and is about to fucking shoot him when Fly goes to ask the sheeps what happened, and they're like, Babe saved us, the wolves came, and she's like, okay, thank you, and she runs back and is barking, which distracts Farmer Hoggett long enough to hear his wife come out of the house and be like, Hoggett, what do you think? That was the police on the phone. Seems there's some wild dogs running about, and the neighbors lost 10 lambs. And he's like, oh, okay. And she's like, what are you doing with that gun? He's like, nothing. So
It just makes me so mad because obviously wild dogs was a thing. So why would you jump to the conclusion that the pig ate the sheep?
Right. That's ridiculous. It's still my number one pain of this movie. And I'm like, how could you, Farmer Hoggett? We trusted you.
I think he just he thought maybe the pig was too good to be true and just had this feeling okay, there's some reason, something has to go wrong here or something. I don't know. That's my feeling about that.
I guess.
Just because what the fuck, dude? You are so steady through the whole movie and then there's this huge fail from you and it's really sad.
Yeah. Totally. So Farmer Hog's like, okay, just kidding. Like, you cool. You're still cool. You're still cool.
You cool.
So he's still going to enter him in the contest.
Sorry, I tried to blow your brains out. Sorry.
Mrs. Hoggett goes away with like her lady friends for like some
wild weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know where they were.
So leaves Babe and him to get ready for the sheepdog contest. And then the stupid cat comes and like makes him feel insecure and is like, like pigs are really only for eating. Like, I don't like, it's like what she says is like not that bad, but like he like freaks out, runs away. They find him. He's been like in the cold rain all night, so he's like sick. The vet comes and says he just has a cold, but he's not eating for some reason. And I think Babe was like kind of doing like a food strike, hunger strike. Like I'm unclear.
He was just so depressed that he didn't want to eat.
Yeah, sure. And
yeah,
I guess. So Farmer Hoggett needs to get him to eat or drink or whatever. He needs to get some fluids in him. And Babe's like, not doing it. And Farmer Hoggett sings a sweet little song. Goes like, if I had words. I'm singing it like the end song, but his song is much more mellow. Yeah. It's like, if I had words to make a day for you.
Did he just make that song up?
No, I think it's like a hymn or
spiritual.
Something. Yeah, something like that. So he like does this crazy dance around the living room, and I guess that inspires Babe to be like, okay, I'll eat. Like,
yeah. That's the
crazy.
Part that seemed like, well, I mean, I understand why they do it, because it's the most like, it's something that you would never believe that character would do, but Babe brings it out in him. That's the whole point, right?
And I think like the cat's main thing was like Farmer Hoggett only cares about like eating pigs, like he doesn't care about you, and I think that like made Babe realize that he does care about him, so he felt better and decided to eat, I guess. So. So next day, it's the day of the sheepdog trials, so they drive to the trials, and he like registers Babe as like pig, quote unquote, so it's not like, it's like the little live like in like motocross, same thing. They're like, this is Andrew, this is Andy Carson, because that's her nickname as well as his. Yeah, so it's like, it's fine.
Pig.
Yeah.
The dog Pig.
So it's totally cool. But then they like have this whole like conference about whether or not it's okay to let a pig be in the thing, and they debate for a while, but it turns out there is actually nothing in the rulebook that says a pig can't be in the thing, in the trials. So
nothing says it has to be a dog.
Right. Yeah. So they're like, fine, you can do it, but like your head on the line. Yeah.
You're disgracing this whole organization. We're the laughing stock of every sheepdog contest, whatever this whole thing is. Yeah.
Yep.
Dumb.
So he goes out there and the crowd is laughing hysterically. So rude.
Yeah.
Like laughing like, get
off the field. And that scene is so great when he like leaves the building and with the pig. Because at this point people don't know that it's a pig. Mm-hmm. And it's only when he leaves the building that they were kind of making this final judgment that they realize it's a pig. And the way they shoot it is like Farmer Hoggett walking. You're like walking sort of with him, and you like see the expression on that on his face, and trying to be so strong and being like, I don't care. And you can kind of like see it in his face, like he's not really that embarrassed.
Yeah,
like, he really
doesn't really care. He knows what he has.
He knows. So he knows, but it's just that almost that feeling. If you've ever been like laughed at and like how horrible that is. Like it's, and as the viewer, like, okay, like these people are gonna be like, shown like what is up in 2 seconds, but it's still like that. I don't know, almost that kind of bullying almost feeling that they do like a really good job of like representing like what that's like to be just like pointed at and laughed at. It's great.
It's a terrible feeling.
Terrible, but really well. How they do it.
So earlier they realized that like Babe doesn't know these sheep, so they're kind of unclear like how. Fly is concerned about how Babe's going to get them on his side how he's going to get them to do what he wants. So she tells Rex, and he's like, I have an idea. And he runs all the way back to the farm, talks to the sheep, and is like, the pig's in trouble. Like, we need to help him. And they're like, there is one thing we could do. Like the password. So they tell him the password, which is Ba-ram-you. Ram you to your breed, your fleece, your clan be true. Sheep be true, Baram you. So Rex is like, okay, is that it? So he takes that, runs all the way back to the trials, runs on the field, tells Babe like seconds before he's ready to go. Babe like hears it, learns it, goes up to the sheep he's never met before, says the password, and they're like, what did you say? And then everyone's like, oh, I can't believe it. He's out there with a pig. And the seconds are like ticking down because you only have like 1 minute to start, I guess. Once it officially starts, you have 1 minute to like start herding. And it's like taken away, and then all of a sudden the announcers are like, oh my God. And then you just see the sheep like calmly walking like they were in the beginning of the movie.
Best
just through the gate, and it's just like so fucking quiet.
Film.
You can hear like a pin drop. It's like nobody's talking. They're just watching this happen. Babe's like, thank you, that was great. Like, now could the 3 ladies with the collars step out of the circle for me? And then they do, and then they walk the thing.
God. Wait, no. So the best part is that they do like you see it live, but then you see it on TV too. And there's this great scene where it's like the sheep are just walking behind Farmer Hoggett. So Farmer Hoggett is just standing there completely still as a statue the whole time. He isn't doing anything. He's not giving any instructions to the pig, like literally nothing. And you just see the sheep like walk behind him in the closest little groups of 2, walking so slowly but sort of quickly, just very organized, right? Then you see Babe just walk by too, just like so perfect. And my God.
And the title on the screen is like A Hoggett with pig. And
so
quote unquote.
Good. And you're like cracking up. I mean, I like always crack. I'm so moved by that part, but like cracking up too, because it's just like so amazing.
It's pretty great. So yeah, so then he goes through the whole thing, and it's still like so quiet. The crowd has been silent the whole time, and then Farmer Hoggett like closes the last gate, and as soon as that gate clicks shut, the crowd erupts into like a giant cheer, and they're like, yay! It's like a masterful thing. They've never seen it before. He gets a perfect score across the board, never been done before, and all is good. And then he says to Babe, like, that'll do, pig, that'll do. And then they just look at each other, and it's a very happy moment, and that's the end. And it's just the sweetest.
And ended on a perfect note, too. Because I feel like it could have been like, oh, they could have done like after stuff and whatever.
Like 1 year later.
It ended on the best note. It's just that one line. Farmer Hoggett just like looking at him with the most beautiful, like loving expression on his face. They do this thing with like the sunshine comes and like kind of spotlights them as this like little duo. Oh my God.
It's so sweet.
It's so perfect. The whole movie is like pitch perfect, and I can't handle it.
No, it's too good. It's too good.
So I just looked up real quick. So this was nominated for the Oscar.
That's what I said.
And in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck beat this? Like, this is bullshit.
95?
So 96. It would have been 96.
96.
Right? So it's always
year
the next
before
year.
Titanic.
Yep. So it was Braveheart.
Guess
that makes sense.
I mean, I get it. It's
but
not,
that would have been like so amazing.
Yeah, but it's still like at its heart a kid's movie, so I can understand why.
But just like I said, like such a pitch perfect film.
Yeah.
There's not one like any weakness or anything I could see like
no parts
actually
that like
wrong in
drag
this film.
that you like dread. I don't know.
It's so well done,
so
and
good.
it's just like I mean, down to everything. It did win for the effects, so that's good. So that, like we said before, like seamless, between the animal training, and the real life animals, and whatever they used as kind of animatronics or puppets. Awesome, but so good, you guys. I'm so pumped. I'm so glad you made me watch this.
Thank God.
It took picking out.
When
of
am
the hat.
I ever wrong? Yeah.
You're never wrong.
So I've always just loved this. I think my mom bought me like the book, or we read the book that this was based on in 3rd grade.
Oh, I didn't know.
And then
who wrote the book?
I don't recall the name, but yeah, it's just a sweet little like short kids book, I think. And we read it, and we put on like a play in 3rd grade. And I was like sick the day that we picked parts or something, so the only part left that I had to play was fucking Mrs. Hoggett, and I was so pissed, and everybody made fun of me because like in the movie she's like this
Babe?
fat woman, I don't remember, Sarah Horton was Fly, and I remember being really jealous of her.
I remember that.
And I had to be Mrs. Hoggett, and I wore this like plaid blue Hannah Anderson dress that I had. Remember, it was like rough. I don't know, and I did fine, but like everyone made fun of me because she's supposed to be this like fat lady. Like in the movie, everybody was connecting it to the movie and like not separating it, so it was just whatever. But I just remember that fondly. What else? Yeah, I don't know. I just love this movie. I didn't take a lot of notes because I just loved it.
Okay, I took a huge chunk. Okay, so do you think that this movie generated a lot of vegetarians? So this was really like pre-vegetarian fad time. Sure, you had your people who had been like Sweet Farmer Hog in real life, James Cromwell, who had been lifelong vegetarian. So obviously there's those people. But do you think like a lot of kids saw this movie and were like, Mom, like I don't want to eat animals anymore or something like that?
Yeah.
Because it's not heavy-handed, and that's not the message of this movie at all. So that's awesome that it's not like, okay, we're like trying to make everyone be vegetarians. But there is some very difficult scenes, and that as a little kid, I think little kids would question, be like, Mom, like, I don't get it. Like, why were there the pigs going to this like happy place and they really don't, or something, in the beginning where there's kind of all that food stuff.
I mean, I just remember being sad about it, but I've never been like.
When you watched it as a kid, you didn't even question that, right?
No, I've always knew. I was old enough to like know that like that's where the meat I eat comes from. I think the trick is that it would be one thing if you came to know Babe's mother as like an actual character, but we don't. We just see her like lying on the ground giving milk to the babies, like in her giant pig nipples, and you're like, oh, okay. And then she's gone. And you don't really know her. Same thing with like the duck scene. Like we never see that duck that dies, so we don't have an attachment to that. Right. If it was Ferdinand or something, then like maybe I would have been really sad about it. But I don't know. But I'm sure there were several kids that saw this and were like, well, that's it. Like no more meat for me. Sorry. Because it is upsetting, and there's a lot of really sad parts in this, and it's just but they make it sad because they make it more of like a Babe misses his mom thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but then he loses like why do you feel like they had to kill off the Ma character? Like why was that important? Just so he could establish
so
more
sad
loss?
And that but I guess like he could have just been taken away from his family and still have been sad that he missed his mom and stuff like that. But I think
the sheep though. Like why do you think they had to do the Ma? The sheep got killed. Like why did they have Ma be killed versus like somebody else?
Just like to give him an awareness that it is a bad, because we don't know any of the other sheep. Like she's the only sheep that we really know. We don't know the other one's names.
And also maybe like how ridiculous that would have been that he would have even like maybe killed them, because that was his friend. So there was no way like he would have killed, even if he could have killed his sheep friend Ma. Like do you think like that's why they did it, or they're just adding like more sort of like sad real life moments for Babe?
Sad real life moments, I guess, to like give him a like just be like, wow, the world out there is tough.
Yeah,
it's sad.
Yeah,
deal with it.
No, I agree. And like I was 12 when I saw this, and like so I think it's like depending on like what age you saw it, and it's not. And I think that's a really good point. Like you said, like they don't establish any characters for the animals that do die.
Right.
So you don't have that association with them. Like, oh, they were just talking and like they had a personality, and now they're like dead. Another dinner.
Exactly.
So that's good. But it is like a real like, life on the farm kind of a thing, and that's the thing. And like the same thing with the puppies, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's a sad moment, but you have to realize like he's not going to keep 9 dogs on his farm, and she's not going to. Those dogs aren't going to need her anymore.
He probably wishes he kept one after Rex was out of commission.
Yeah, true. But that's, and like you mentioned that thing about or was it our puppies or your cat or Desmond, when you picked up Desmond, and how you thought that was sad that you had to like take him away from his siblings.
Yeah, because he was just like playing with them one minute, and then the next minute he gets like shoved in this sad little cat box and whisked away to like people he doesn't know. But do you think
animals like know that they're brothers and sisters though?
I hope so.
I don't know. I don't think I can't speak for animals, but like I don't know. I think they're just like, hey, another fun cat to play with. Like sweet. I don't know. I don't know if like they can distinguish.
But he didn't have another cat to play with. Like I was bringing him away from.
But like think of us even as siblings. Like we're told like this person is your brother, this person is your sister, but like you wouldn't know that, right?
Yeah, I know. I just remember being sad about it, and like, yes. And the puppy scene is especially sad because they just do a good job of like giving such character to that dog to Fly, like, and her eyes just look so sad.
Oh, it's so good.
And then it reminded us. So we had a dog that gave birth to 9 puppies when we were little, and we became so attached to those puppies, and then we had to sell them, and people
Mom and Dad
came
should have
to
been
get
better
them.
about doing that, like being like, "Hey, girls, so BT Dubs, we're not going to be able to keep any of these dogs."
I'm sure they
Like,
did.
I don't know. We named them all. I had one. I was convinced like I was going to keep that dog. It was so sad. But that's, and like the thing with Fly though, that's interesting, and like you don't really, I mean, this isn't brought up in this film, but you have to think about it, that probably happens to her like once every couple of years.
Yeah, how many litters did she have?
Exactly.
You think? How
So-
old is she? She's probably like 3.
Right. But like that's like sad. So if you're a dog that like is constantly breeding and like, and I don't know if moms, because I feel like when our dog had puppies, she like was kind of like, this seems more like a duty. It didn't seem like she was like into it.
I guess.
But who
I
knows?
don't think she was around when the puppies left. Like she was probably somewhere else, like in a separate room. Fly's like watching them get like sold one at a time.
yeah.
I don't know. It's just a sad
It's
scene.
sad. It's
And
sad.
because those puppies are so darn cute, so you
Yeah,
get
they're
real
real
sad.
cute.
But then the sweetest part after that is when Babe comes up to Mom and he's like, "Can I call you Mom?"
Yeah.
And that's just so sweet. And she's like, "Thank God I still have a baby."
Yeah.
So yeah, it gives her like another purpose. Oh, not that you only need children to like have a purpose, but
No, she was a great character,
yeah.
like throughout, without all that. But yeah, good call. My next question: where is this supposed to be in the United States of America?
so weird. So Sweetie and I both thought that this was that this took place in like Great Britain somewhere. Turns out no, because everyone has a regular like American accent. So guess not. It's so strange. I really thought it was, but it's clear that it's filmed somewhere not in the United States, because it looks like Ireland or England. Like if you've ever been there, those like sweeping green landscapes and those like stone
walls, like low walls
that just like separate things, property. Yeah.
So just like Sweetie said, so if you've ever been to Ireland or Scotland or the UK, it's just these versus like how we are set up here, where it's like house. And maybe if you go in like
what's that called? The flyover? No. Flyover states?
Flyover states?
I don't know. Like
But
in
if you
Midwest,
go,
like
but if you
middle
go to like
of the United
New
States.
Hampshire, there's a lot of green there too.
Yeah.
It's mostly like forests. But the thing with like the UK and stuff is that it is like farms, so it's not like trees. It's just these massive greenscapes, you know, and it's like and fields because there's a lot of farms there. And low stone walls, and it's just like almost like, and if you fly overhead, it's like little squares. So it's like square of all these like little lawn, very, very green spaces. So that's what it looks like. But also there's like that in this movie, thatched houses that does not exist here.
And the weather is questionable.
Yeah.
And it's
Not, so it's like Christmas, but it's not like super cold. So with a little bit of research, we did find out that they filmed it in Australia. So that,
but it doesn't say
makes
where it's
sense.
supposed to take place.
Right. But
So I think it's just like a name, like an unnamed
place.
location.
Yeah, no one
I
has
guess.
I mean, everyone has American accents.
No one has a British accent. Even Farmer Hoggett, who we thought did.
Yeah, I don't know why. And that guy is American, and I thought he was British. Like,
I know,
so that
I'm
was
really
confusing.
confused.
But yeah, but it does give a very like old timey British feeling, and also like the way people are dressed. So it's very like old timey.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like
old-
a 90s
The old
thing.
ladies are wearing like bloomers.
Right,
Or like
bloomers, and like the Farmer Hoggett's wife has that like funny little hat and her like all
yeah.
like dowdy kind of stuff. Farmer Hoggett wears like, you know, these cute little vests and his little hat. I mean, he is like more like farming kind of stuff. But like they have this interesting scene though that I think is supposed to like bring it into the 90s, where it's like Christmas and they have their daughter, we think it's their daughter, and her family come, and she gifts them a fax machine. So obviously like very 90s. Here's a fax. This is all we have. And like their reasoning for giving them the fax is like, so this way we can fax each other letters versus like sending them via snail mail. And them on the farm is like, ugh, okay, like It's great. And then they try to like re-gift it to them immediately. And they're like, no, like we already have one. That's why we're giving this to you.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they tried to plop like technology into this like, otherwise you would have no idea like what time period it was, right? Because there's nothing that like dates it.
Maybe that's why they did that.
Yeah.
I guess. But and then later Farmer Hoggett needs to like fax his form into the Sheepdog Association, so it makes sense. But yeah, that's true. That's funny.
Yeah. So cool. So I read that, so the writer of this, or one of the writers, there's a couple credited, but it was this guy named George Miller. And it was a 10-year labor of love for him to get this made. And the reason why, and I think this is super smart, and I think, you know, people making movies or whatever, listen to this. He didn't want to make it until like the technology was like up to date with what he wanted to do. So he waited. He had this story, he waited, but he wanted to have it. So like we said, and good thing he did, because like we said, seamless, like who knew, like you would not know.
How did he know? I mean, he had no idea when it was going to be catching up the technology. He just
waited till the time was right. Yeah.
What if it never did?
Then it never would have gotten made. But so he felt like this was the time, like 1990, well, however many years it took to get made.
So the technology is that like all like the action shots are real animals, and then when they do the close-ups, it's an animatronic dog. But the mouth moving looks like animated.
Yeah,
it doesn't look.
So that might have been like a combo.
Okay.
Because
I see.
Because there are some, like I feel like, okay, here's one that I'm like thinking of. Okay, that part where, so they take the muzzle off of Rex after he's been like sedated for a while, and Farmer Hoggett's like petting him. He's like, good. And the dog's like, puts it up and he's like, like a little like old man, sort of like tired. Like that's a puppet, right?
I think so.
Because you wouldn't be able to have a dog do that.
Yeah.
How would you like train a dog to be like, dog, look like real sick and tired, like you've been sedated but are now awake?
Okay.
You know, you can't give dogs that direction.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. But it is like I said, like it's really hard to tell. Like you got to look real close. But I agree. I think some is animation, because you can tell a little bit with that, because like you wouldn't be able to make it like a dog move your mouth like that.
No. Yeah.
But I think that's really smart. Just be like, okay, like I want to make the story, but like the technology isn't here yet. Like let's wait. So cool. It feels very Animal Farmish to me, as I said to you when we were watching. So if y'all have not read George Orwell's Animal Farm, really cool book about animals sort of forming their own little world. And again, sort of that hierarchy. So the part that reminded me of it is there's this part where Rex is like, has this like meeting of all the farm animals. So he's like clearly the leader, and there's clearly like rules within the animal world of this farm that like everyone abides by. And so like they decides to basically like ostracize the duck Ferdinand from like what he pulled in the house. Right. So, that just reminded me of like, I don't know, because there's like lots of scenes in Animal Farm where they're like, I don't know if you've ever read that book, but it's like two legs bad, four legs good.
Yeah, it's like the opening.
Yeah. So there's all these like chants, and if you like, it's supposed to be sort of a metaphor for communism. No, what is that called?
I forget.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be like, so
smart.
George Orwell wrote that, being like basically just like how communism was set up. So like all the animals on the farm.
Allegory?
Yeah. Allegory for communism. So all the animals on the farm relate to people who built the Communist Party. So you have one pig who's supposed to be Trotsky, one who's supposed to be Lenin, like this and that. So it's really interesting if you've not read that book. But it really reminded me of that, because it was like, and I guess anything that has like animals like
acting
as people.
Human, yes.
So that's like an easy parallel, but awesome. Let's talk a little bit about Rex, aka worst husband ever.
Yeah, so he's just such a brute. Like he's just so macho and like is mean to Babe immediately. Only calls him pig. Like refuses to call him by his name. Doesn't bleed. Doesn't support Fly. Doesn't help her raise the puppies ever.
He doesn't do anything.
He doesn't do anything. Like, the puppies get sold, and Fly's like sad about it, and he comes over and like looks at her, and then he like is like, I'll go with Farmer Hoggett instead. Like, I don't want to deal with that. And then there's that. Like, he just sucks, and he's mean, and then he beats her, and then he fucking like fights her, and it's because just scary. And I remember that scene is just very scary, because if you've ever seen two dogs fighting, it's like the worst.
Yeah.
It's so scary, and I hated that scene. But yeah, and he sucks, and he gets a little better after he gets.
So it's nice that they redeem him, but like, I don't know. I feel like they should have just shipped him off and been like, later, Gator.
And then you find out he like is deaf because he like had this traumatic thing happen to him, and then he like redeems himself at the end by getting the password and like running home. But still, it's such an asshole for most of it. Like, ugh.
She should have kicked him to the curb. Forget it. There's this like funny part. Well, not funny. Sorry, not funny at all. Where the veterinarian's like, like, I don't know what's wrong. Like, I just can't figure it out. Like, blah, blah, blah. What's wrong with him? I'm like, you know what's wrong with him, veterinarian man? Toxic masculinity. Yes. Like, what? This is bullshit.
Such
this is
bullshit.
the patriarchy coming after you.
Bullshit.
Because he's just like, oh, like, I'm the man of this farm. I'm the leader. Like, I'm a male dog. I'm supposed to do this and that. And like, and even, you know what bothers me? That part where like the puppies, and Farmer Hoggett is like advertising the puppies, and the way they advertise puppies is like sheepdog puppies, and it goes by Rex.
Oh,
so they put the man first, and then the woman and like the bitch, let's say, is like the bottom and like smaller letters, and like she doesn't matter, even though she carried the puppies for however long dogs carry puppies, 3 months.
And I
did
guess,
all the work
because it's like they think that like the male gene is dominant or something. Stupid.
Well, if you remember when like our dog had puppies, so we like did that whole breeding thing, and what you do is you take them to a stud farm. This is like kind of crazy if you've ever seen this. So you pay a stud fee. I don't remember like how much it was. This is also in the 90s, babe time. And basically what you do is like you pay. So it's these dogs, these male dogs that have like good bloodlines, let's say. So you bring your dog to them, and you pay the stud fee, and then you literally just like let your dog, when it's in heat, run around with these other dogs, and they immediately just like have sex.
Not all the dogs, just one.
The one that you want, I guess, to mate with. And then they immediately just like do it, and then they have puppies. It's like crazy.
It's crazy that it's just like one time. Like they don't have like
infertility problems.
I mean, maybe some dogs.
Yeah,
do, I don't know, but it's not like that. So it's fascinating.
Oh yeah,
and you remember that, but I don't remember that. You said they just like shut him in a room. You were there.
No, it was like it was an outdoor thing, and you just let him. They just let him run around, and then within like seconds. They're hooking up.
You told me that I envisioned it as like our basement with those like doors, and that we like shut them in the unfinished part of the basement and let them do their business. But I guess not. Just what I thought.
It's amazing how like animals work. How that is just like so nature driven and biological. And like for us, it's like obviously, as you've heard, my like trials and tribulations of the dating world, like how different it is for us. Like, oh, I mean, I don't wish it was that easy. Like, I don't want to be a dog.
Yeah.
That sounds horrible.
No, thanks.
I'd be like, really not into you. Sorry. Bye. Later. Let's talk about the gay cow.
So several of the animals have other voices. So there's like the horse, who's like a wise old black man. Ma is like a wise old black woman.
Like there's a lot of like black animal voices.
And then the cow, for some reason, is like this weird like gay guy from like Manhattan or something. I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. And I forget what he says, but he's always just like, well, is that right? Oh, look, it's Babe on the television. Hooray, Babe. Like, it's just so weird.
It's so funny. It's a gay cow.
Yep. So every time we talked, we would like eat it up. We'd be like, yes, gay cow, you were my life. But he's so funny. I love it. My favorite part when I was little was easily the little mice chorus. So like traditional like chorus in like Greek plays, you have like a little chorus. So like
good parallel. I didn't even think about that.
So like the mice act as that. So they're like these 3 little mice that introduce each chapter, which is like an actual chapter, like in the book, I think, is why they did that.
Is it like related to 3 blind mice at all?
Probably.
Is that why there's 3 of them?
Maybe. And then they have like little funny chipmunk voices, and they announce the titles, and they're just funny. They're like, pork is a nice sweet meat. And then they'll like giggle sometimes after things. And then my favorite part is when they're it's like nighttime, and I forget what scene it's after, but they just start singing Blue Moon, like in their little mice voice, and they're like, Blue Moon, you saw me standing alone. It's so, I loved that one. I ate that shit up when I was little. I loved it.
It's so funny.
Yeah, but how do you feel about the mice? Because you have a fear of mice.
Well, that's funny because you were like, so there's this like one scene. Well, when Rex is like,
there's a couple, and there's when they're all on the horse's head too when he's watching the.
So they're just kind of like all over the farm and like crawling all over the animals, and so they kind of blend in. And sometimes you don't see them, but sometimes you're like, ugh. And like I just had a mouse in my apartment this weekend.
It might still be there. We're not sure.
God, it totally is, and like it's gonna come out. It's freezing today, so I'm like, shit, it's gonna be there. Terrified. So I was basically like standing on my coffee table, which is like this trunk that I have, for like hours on Sunday, texting everyone I knew to be like, help, I have a mouse. Like went down to go.
Nobody would help.
Nope. Went down to like in desperation, like beg my landlady to come and help me. And all she could say was like, like, how did that mouse get in? Like, did you open a window and let it in? I was like, what are you talking about? Mice don't come in through the window. It was the weirdest conversation I've ever had in my whole life. It was like I was talking to someone who was like an alien. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, help me. And I was like, yeah, my sister used to like help me or would deal with all the mice in our old apartment. She's like, you should call her. She should come and take out the mouse. I'm like, she lives across town.
I'm not going over there. I was talking to you, I was like, well, I'm in my pajamas and just made dinner.
I did not ask you to come. I was just like, I'm going to be a big girl and like handle this myself. And I did,
kind of,
because the mouse just disappeared. But okay, so anyway, long story short, I'm terrified of mice. Was I terrified of mice in this film? No. And that was a really awesome thing you said to me. That was like, just like imagine the mouse in your apartment is like the mice in this movie singing Blue Moon. I wish I could. If the mouse sang Blue Moon, I'd feel more comfortable.
I think they're sweet. I think they're cute. Even the ones I caught for us in our old apartment were just like, they're so little, and I don't know. I think it's because of this movie. I just like don't have a problem with mice.
You are lucky.
Because I fucking loved those mice. So maybe that's why.
Well, I'm hoping it's like a thing if like I can just confront it, and because I don't deal with it. Yeah. And I think like that's the problem. So if like I have to deal with it, maybe it will help my fear. But Mouse, if you're listening, this does not mean I want you to like come out tonight and visit me. So just like stay where you are. I'm convinced like because like Moosh was like up in that mouse's grill, literally was like stalking the shit out of that thing. So I'm hoping that it's one of those things where the mouse is like, psst, like, hey, this apartment, no go. This is a no go. Don't come out here. Because I think that's what mice do. They go through the mouse chain, and they're like, hey, they send letters or whatever.
Just smell them. But that brings up a good point, though, how in this movie, and I think the main reason I was not a cat person until later in my life is that I had a very unfair idea of cats. And I think it was all the movies I watched painted cats always as the villain.
Yeah, anti-catite.
It's like the bad animal. If it's an animal movie, unless it's like the Aristocats, the bad thing, a character is always the cat.
Where's the bad dog movie?
Right. So Cinderella, Lucifer's an asshole in that. There's the Siamese cats and Lady and the Tramp, same thing. And the cat's such a bitch. And it just made me realize that, like, man, cats get treated so unfairly. And that's why people have such a prejudice against cats. Yeah. Where's the message about not being prejudiced against cats?
Remember, they do say in this that, like,
not all cats are bad.
Bad every barrel.
Yes, but still made me sad. And I think that's why, like, I always didn't have a problem with mice because I loved Cinderella and like the mice characters in that were always so funny. So like, and I don't care. And I think I've told you about this, but one time I found this little field mouse or something in the yard, and I put it in a shoebox and kept it as like a pet. But I didn't bring it inside. But I think I left it outside. Yeah, but then I was like, I like came out the next day to like check on him, and I was like, "Where's my little buddy?" And I like picked up the lid, and there he was gone because he chewed a hole and escaped.
For him. him.
I was so crushed though. I was like, no. But yeah, I've always loved them, so it's fine. I like them. I'll save them and release them outside somewhere.
Please, can't handle.
No problem.
Okay, so next I want to talk about the quiet, simple life of a farmer. So this makes me want to be a farmer, and basically only because that like one scene where Farmer Hoggett, or a couple days, where Farmer Hoggett is by himself and the wife just like makes a couple casseroles, like puts it in the freezer.
I love that part.
And then, but his life seems like so simple and nice and sweet. Though there is that odd scene where he's like watching some sort of like church service where there's like choir girls singing, and seems like he is like so intrigued by it. Like he's watching the best show you've ever seen in your whole life.
Yeah.
I remember you were like, what is like, even as a little kid?
I remember as a little kid, I was like, I don't want to be a farmer because you only get like one shitty channel on your shitty little TV. Forget it.
But it just seems so peaceful. He has that fire.
So much work though. Like think of he has to shear all those sheep himself, but that was before. That was after the half of them got stolen. So it was even more before.
I need help. But I know it's like not an easy job. Were you in that book club yet where we read like the farming book?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we read this book for book club where this woman like meets this, she's like a Manhattanite. She's like lived in the city forever, but meets this like hot farmer, and then they like really get along. And then she's like, fuck it. Like I'm going to move and like with this hot farmer up to Vermont and like be on this farm with him. And it was like insane. And the reason I would like really turn me away from farm life, because the rats. There are rats everywhere in farm life. So I know I couldn't handle it.
Isn't that why you have cats on a farm?
I think there's still rats, like regardless. It fucking sucks.
Well, yeah. I remember when we lived together in Medford, the house across the street had like a crazy garden.
Oh my god, remember that?
And there would always be like dead rats in the road. And it was because of their garden.
Yes.
They were just always there, like, oh yeah, free food. Yeah.
But remember, we were always like, okay, why? We were convinced that like they were putting poison in their garden, and the rats would go over there, eat the poison, then die in the middle of the road, and then get pancaked. Because like, how unlucky of a rat are you that like you're driving?
They all get smushed. Yeah,
like you're crossing the road, and you like it happens to be when a car comes, and that's like that just seems unlucky. Yeah. So I think they were dying. Yeah. That was disgusting, though. And you still like, I mean, we live in the city, so I still see rats.
That's what, like I
all the time.
Don't love rats. I just I just like mice. Well, some people have like pet rats, but like I do get a little like when I see a rat on the street, I still get a little scared. But
I think it's just tails, because honestly, like gerbils, sweet. I love gerbils.
Sure,
I'd have a pet gerbil. Okay. They're adorable. I think it's just that gross little tail.
Must be.
And gerbils are like fat and cute and like almost like chipmunky and like sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Rodent talk. Hate. Okay. Big question for you, because I had this thought.
Okay.
When they had that scene where Farmer Hoggett does, that Irish jig to really wake him up. And I mean, really, like nothing. Is there anything a good Irish jig won't cure? I mean, come on. Let's get real.
Probably not.
But I just had this thought, like, is Babe Farmer Hoggett's like true love? Not in a sexual sense, but like in like, because, okay, so you see his relationship with his wife, which is like very sweet and very like, okay, domestic, and like that is what it is.
They don't have sex. They had sex like one time and had that girl. Yeah.
He has children, or at least one child, that daughter probably. Doesn't seem to have a great relationship with her, doesn't care about that. He has such investment in this little pig. And that end scene when he like obviously, so when he's like sees the pig sick and basically like throws everything out the window and is like, what can I do to make this pig feel better? I'm gonna do this crazy dance and sing to him. I mean, he's a person who doesn't speak, and he's suddenly like singing hymns. And then that like last scene, right? So don't you feel like this was like such a turn for him?
Well, I think like the moment he picked him up at the fair was supposed to be that like he looked in his eyes and was like, oh, he likes me. And then the pig, like, he's like, wow, that's the first time he shut up, like, since we got him. And it's just like a sign, connection. Like they know.
Right, so almost like a soulmate. Yeah. So again, like not romantic or any like sexual or anything like that. And I think
he's like,
but a person soulmate.
See himself a little in Babe, like his like quiet demeanor, and he just like does things without like talking and making a big deal about it. Like the dogs are very loud, obviously, when they're like doing their herding, but Babe's just very quiet and just goes up and acts nicely. And so maybe that's why. And it's just Yeah, but they do have the sweetest relationship. I hope Babe lives for a long time.
I know. And just like having that connection to a non-human, an animal, and a non-pet animal, which I think is really cool, right? So
he ends up basically being his pet.
He does, and treats him like a dog, but in the sense of like a farmer and something that you would normally slaughter.
Which like makes me question. Like I would not be a farmer because I'd form an attachment immediately with all the animals. Yeah. Would not be able to kill one. Yeah. But yeah, totally. And I would think that there's a kind of a newer trend, I think, where people are having pigs as pets.
Yes. Have you seen the one in Boston?
The one in Boston?
Yep. So there's a large pig that this guy walks around the public gardens in Boston. I forget what his name is.
Yeah, I've seen somebody's picture of it. But yeah, there's that. A girl on Teen Mom too, Chelsea, has a pet pig. And it's just like
potbelly pig trend?
And it's just so funny because it's just in the house like as an animal, like as a dog. And it's just.
But I don't think potbelly pigs are cute. Like Babe is cute.
Yeah,
potbellies are like.
No, I'm just that thing of like ugly cute, like that everybody's like obsessed with.
I'm not an ugly cute.
No,
I see a bulldog and I'm like, well, no.
Too spitty.
I saw one of those. What are those like slanty face dogs? You know what I'm talking about? Who are like the most ugly dogs. I'll show you a picture later.
No.
Oh my god. And I saw like this kid going gaga over him, and I'm like, that's like the ugliest dog I've ever seen.
You know, I'm like I obviously am very vain and only like things that are attractive,
or like French bulldogs. Those like bug-eyed, kind of like ones.
Yeah, I mean, there's some that are cute by nature, but yeah, for the most part,
I like all dogs just from the demeanor, but they're not all cute.
I know. I'm just a terrible person.
People.
If I see a cat with like uneven splotches on their face, I'm like, you're not that cute.
Oh, no.
We can't all be lookers like Desmond here.
No, we can't. Okay, so then just quickly, so messages of the film. So I wrote like a couple down, and then we said kind of in the beginning a couple of these. But you can do anything you set your mind to, right?
Marty, courtesy Marty McFly.
Yes.
I hope we're still recording. Okay,
yeah.
we go.
No prejudices. So that kind of goes along with my lines of how, like we said before, that there's so much of a hierarchy and like an established, like, okay, like you're a dog, you have this role. You're a sheep, you have this role. You're a pig, you should be eaten, like this and that. And how you can like break out of those molds and kind of like do whatever you want to do, which is a great message for kids, right? Because no matter, like, obviously if you're a kid, like in different class or race or whatever, and it's just being like, hey, like, fuck that. Like, you don't have to be what everyone says you have to be. Like, do what you want to do.
Yes. Good message.
Any other messages that you can think of?
I mean,
I like the nice one is like you brought. I didn't even think of, but that's really good.
Like all, like just treat people with respect, or like that the golden rule of like treat people how you want to be treated. Because I mean, as much as Fly is a sweet character, it is very scary when you see her in her sheepdog form and like yelling at the dogs, and she's like, "I'll rip you to shreds." And it's like, Fly, what are you doing? And they're just so mean to the sheep. And Babe gets better results by being nice to somebody. So it's always been a way that I've like kind of lived my life, where just like be nice to somebody and you'll get better results. But don't be too nice, because then creepos will latch onto you and want to date you, and you'll be too nice to say no and whatever.
Right. Or like you get more flies with honey than vinegar, right? That's the old saying. And I always use that with work too, because I just feel like there's some people who are like such taskmasters and like actual assholes, and they think like that's how they're going to get people like do stuff. And I've never worked like that. I'm like the nicest person to everyone, and like I get stuff done. And it's so true. Like don't be like that.
Yeah.
Peeps, don't do it. Like, be like Babe.
Yeah. And it kind of felt watching this similar to when we watched Wonder Woman, in that like somebody like always telling you like you can't do something because it's just not the way that that is done, but then you do it anyways. I don't know. It's just very liberating. It's powerful. I love it.
No, it's awesome. And I hope like a lot of little kids watch this movie, and adults and anyone. And we're like, yeah, like, and I just love those like adversity movies. It's kind of pretty like my favorite genre, adversity movies. Yeah. Where it's like, like an underdog, like someone who doesn't expect anything from, and, you know, they do it. And like now, and a lot of like, let's say adversity movies are like sports ones where like there's a big like game at the end and like that person wins or whatever. And this kind of has that same feeling because that like last scene is like kind of like that contest or last tournament or game or like whatever.
I wonder if you could think
like,
of this as a sports movie.
Yeah, because like I'm like thinking about like Karate Kid and like they're like, okay, Daniel's son like has no training. Like, okay, listener,
He had training.
No, he had training, but like a couple weeks, and he like goes to that tournament, total underdog, and people are like he's never gonna win, and he fucking does it. And again, and another movie that ends on like a perfect note. Doesn't expand any longer than it needs to. He wins. He holds up the trophy, and they're like, "Yeah!"
And it's like over. Yeah, good one. Good
like,
one.
and it's like
good comparison.
Oh my god, we should write a paper on like the like different, like not different, this like similarities between Babe and Karate Kid.
Sure. Okay.
Awesome.
Let's
I like any
do
sports
it.
movie.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'd put Babe up there with those sports movies.
Wow. Cool. Good to know.
Yeah.
So good.
I'm so obsessed. I'm in the best mood right now because we watched this movie.
Oh, good. Anyone that's feeling down, watch Babe.
Yes.
Who needs drugs? Who needs mood lifters?
Nothing.
Just watch Babe.
Oh my god, it's so
Just
good, guys.
do it.
Oh, and also a quick note. So there's a sequel to this, but we haven't seen it.
Neither of us have seen it.
Babe, Pig in the
City. So
Anyone
where does
know
he
anything
go?
about this?
Well, I can tell you a little something about it.
Yeah.
For some reason, I keep thinking it's like San Francisco, but that's Homeward Bound 2, right?
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. They like get lost in San
They get
Francisco.
lost again?
All right. Babe, fresh from his victory in the sheep herding contest, returns to Farmer Hoggett's farm. But after Farmer Hoggett is injured and unable to work, Babe has to go to the big city to save the farm.
Oh my god. This is too much pressure.
Okay. What? He gets severely hurt in the well. His wife has to take up farming. She does her best but cannot meet the bank's requirements, which results in the necessity of getting back to Babe. Soon, Esme is sitting in a plane headed for the city. There, Babe unwillingly causes deep trouble. He has to stay in a hotel. Friendly neighbors send officials who catch all animals from the hotel.
It's too crazy.
Cats, dogs, chimpanzees, and many others.
Chimpanzees? They're not on the farm?
And Ferdinand's back in it. Wow. He flew all the way to the city. Holy crap.
We can't watch this ever.
That's crazy.
What was the review on IMDb?
5.8 out of 10.
Okay. I just want to tell you that don't ever look at the reviews on IMDb because it is...
They've always been trash. We've always been like, what?
Garbage
What's
bags.
another one we watched? And we were like,
Dumpster
seriously?
fire.
6 for like never ending story or something? Give me a
on
break.
IMDb, this movie has a 6.8. And I'm like, what the fuck? Serial killer, crazy ass, heartless person gave this movie anything less than a 10. Everyone gave it a 10, first of all. And then, but there's a couple 7s thrown in there that drag the whole average
Well, what
down.
did they say? Did they say why?
Great. No, they're like, great family flick, fun, 7. So they're
'Cause I
just
think
those
it's-
assholes who give great things 7.
It's just like a prejudice thing of like, oh, it's a kid's movie.
Yeah.
It can't be great.
Exactly.
Where it's like, come on. That's why we need... I don't think a kids movie has ever won a Best Picture award. I mean, plenty have been nominated,
Right.
but nobody's ever won.
I would
but
love
I
to see
wonder
that day.
if, someday.
I
I'd
love
be
it.
"Ha."
Like you know how Marissa Tomei won for My Cousin Vinny that time, and that was like what?
Yeah.
And it was kind of a breakthrough because comedies don't win ever in Oscars and the Academy
or
Awards.
horror movies.
Yeah.
As Best Pictures.
And like more of that needs to be considered because like you know what, we don't need we have too much drama. There's too much drama in life. Like let's
more drama.
Yeah. And remember we've talked about how like actually comedy can be a lot harder to do than drama.
It is.
So I liked that to be appreciated. And again, I'd like children's movies, aka anything that's like PG.
Yes.
To be
accepted.
considered and
Yes.
accepted. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Sure. Cool. All right. Anything else?
No, but just like happy Friday. Friday.
Probably not going to be listening on Friday,
Oh, yeah.
but it's Friday now, but who knows when this will come out. Anyways, so thanks for listening, and catch us next time when we watch That Thing You Do.
I know you're doing that thing.
Oh my God, it's going to be so much singing. I can't wait. Mr. Downtown. That's my favorite. Okay. Anyways, thanks for listening. Catch us on Twitter at The Sweetie Club and on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you guys. Bye.